What's good? Sunny day in California here. Sunny day in California here. Alright. Welcome to the channel, An Essential Business. How's it going, guys? Definitely thank you guys for all the comments, the likes, and even just simply the views, honestly. Definitely mostly the views, because that's what I'm looking at right now in terms of this channel. And we're getting up in views, and there's a lot of newcomers here, it seems. And part of the reason for that, I believe, is because I put blackpill in a couple of videos on the channel over this past week, and I think the impressions just went way up on that because I put blackpill in that. And what I gotta say is blackpill ideology is honestly really growing fast, which is the title of this script. We'll see if I make it the title of this video. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Kind of a longer script, so bear with me. And yeah, we'll just get into it. So the black pill is growing fast, really fast. And how I noticed this, like I said in the beginning, I put the phrase black pill in 2 of my video titles over the past week. And the impressions and views for my channel basically went way up after I did that action, like a day after I did that action. To be 100% honest with you, that phenomenon is not really okay to me, to see the black pill growing like this, but it makes complete sense, and the black pill is based on honestly a lot of facts, so it is what it is. I just don't like what the black pill leads to for many people, which is like basically despair. It doesn't have to, because the black pill is an assortment of facts, essentially. But that assortment of facts may lead people to despair, which I don't want that to happen necessarily. So if you guys follow my channel, definitely don't fall into that. That's part of the reason I started this channel. Yeah, but let's keep going. So the blue pill is one thing. That's not okay with me either, because you're cloaked in ignorance when you believe in blue pill thinking. But at least with blue pill, you're relatively happy. Red pill is another thing. To me, the red pill is better than the blue pill because it's more realistic and it tries to get you to improve yourself, which I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. MGTOW is another thing, men going their own way, men guarding their own wallets, whatever you want to call it. There's a bunch of ways you can decipher that acronym. That's another thing, and that's arguably the best option in my opinion, which is why I consider myself a MGTOW, and I put MGTOW in the titles of many of my videos. That's the best option to me, just given the landscape of what we're facing. Like, given how this society has strayed so far away from biology, and then that's affecting so many social things here. Is affected by how much we've strayed away from basic biology. You can stray away a little bit, but when you stray away this much, like you start to get issues that crop up from that. And like I said in a previous video, as you develop and your frontal lobes come in, like in your mid to late 20s, you adopt the social landscape. Like, that's what your frontal lobe adopts. It picks up the social landscape and then it tries to modulate your behavior based on that social landscape. And if the social landscape is completely shitty, you're gonna see some like shitty adults here. That's just from a biological standpoint. Like, you can have your opinion one way or the other, but from a biological standpoint, your frontal lobes pick up the social atmosphere and modulate your behavior based on that. That's just what it is. You guys can interpret the effects downstream from that any how you want, but I'm just going to tell you the biology there. So in terms of MGTOW, nothing beats doing your own thing, especially given that landscape, in my opinion. But black pill, we're going to focus on that in this video. So black pill, like I put in the script, and I honestly believe this. Black pill is something you should not fully be immersed in for more than a month max. And just let me explain that throughout this video. It's dangerous to get into black pill for more than a month max. But I think it is good to take on the black pill for a certain amount of time, like a short time, and just like get all those facts down pat. Especially if like you were red pilled and like you got lied to in terms of your childhood and adolescence and stuff like that. I think it's good to take in the black pill for at least a short period of time, but not a long period of time. So let me explain that. Full on black pill will basically lead you. This is kind of controversial, but I say in the script, it will lead you to nowhere at best and suicide at worst. This is just for a lot of people. This isn't necessarily for everybody. This is just what happens for a lot of people. And I would encourage you to like not have this happen to you. So I'm not gonna lie, like I say, there is some solid stuff that you should take from black pill. So it's not useless by any stretch. I don't think the black pill is useless. I do think the black pill is something people should take concepts from, definitely. So it's not useless. But, okay, let's just quickly go over some tenets of the black pill. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but this is just some tenets of the black pill that I've noticed as I've been online and in forums and just doing my thing online. So, actually, we're not done with this yet. The first thing is basically genetic determinism. Looks and height is what matters most to women. Nothing else matters as much, but money will help, especially as you get older. So, genetic determinism. To be 100% honest, this is not completely wrong. Like I've said in previous videos and on my Discord, I've mentioned it. In my past, I've definitely seen, especially when I was younger, genetic determinism. It just is what it is. And like how women kind of attracted to that. But I have also seen that not happen too. So like I don't think it's untrue, but I don't think it's the whole story. I've seen women's obsession with genetic determinism, but I've also seen that not happen. Like, and I've seen both. So I can't sit here and tell you that it's not true, but I can't sit here and tell you it's the whole story either. Like, I think it's broad brushstrokes at best. Yeah, so there's that. Okay, the second point that I'll discuss in my list here is women like asshole dudes more than a nice guy from a primal perspective. Your personality as a guy doesn't really matter. They'd rather you be an asshole and fulfill the genetic requirements, essentially. I honestly don't really think this is true. I don't think this is true just outright, but given our society. So, when society is shitty, being an asshole as a guy just makes sense because society is shitty. Like if you're seen as nice, which I've been called an asshole and I've been called nice, so I've been on both sides of it, like many of you guys honestly may have. I've literally been on both sides of it. And when you're seen as nice in a society like this, to a lot of girls it's just like, okay, so he doesn't get the landscape. He's not aware of the social setting here. And that's the biggest turnoff for women, honestly. If you don't understand the social setting and you don't have a place in the social landscape, that is like the number one turnoff for women. Like, just from a primal perspective, because they rely on the social landscape. And if you have no place in that, you have no place with them. That's just from a primal perspective. It is what it is. Even if you have the genetic determinism, like the genetic requirements down, if you have no place in the social landscape, and there is a social landscape, then you're fucked. You have no chance. If there's no social landscape, and it's just literally warring apes out here, then genetic determinism matters the most. And that's often why you see younger chicks go for like the genetic requirements first, because they have no sense of the social landscape. Like their frontal lobes aren't in they don't understand the social landscape, and thus they're not really affected by it as much, if that makes sense. So, a lot of that was off script, but in my script I say at some point women want a realistic guy. Realistic given the social landscape. And in that type of relationship, if you have a relationship that is based on you being an asshole and women being attracted to that, that relationship is going to be driven by bad feelings and fear. Whether you're faking being an asshole or whether you actually are an asshole, usually that's going to be a shitty relationship. And you guys have probably seen, I know I have seen this in my own life. Like, I've seen examples of it. I've never been the asshole to be in a relationship. If anything, I was like the nice guy in one relationship, and then I was kind of neutral in another. And the funny thing is, they both kind of ended not really, like they both kind of ended because of distance, more so than like because we had to go long distance. And then actually in the most recent one, like we just both left school, so it just was what it was. But then also those were like relatively smart women, so that you have to kind of account for that when you discuss my previous relationships, because like those chicks were kind of smart. So like, we're talking about above average, like these were above average women there. Just, you know, this is what it is. So like you can't, like, so my perspective is kind of different, honestly, you know, in terms of women, because like there's above average women, there's like average women, and there's like below average. I haven't really dealt with like many women that were like not kind of above average. I mean, that's just it's what it is. Like, I'm not saying that to be, like, I'm literally just saying that because like that's just what I experienced, so it is what it is. So yeah, that's why personally I'm not an asshole, because like that just I never had to be, like I just wasn't naturally, and you know, it just didn't come to me. Like for some guys it comes naturally, and it just is what it is. A lot of times those guys get a lot of chicks, like I've seen it over and over again. So it is what it is. Okay, point 3. Women would rather be in a harem with multiple women accessing one high value. I hate that term, but I'll just say it to get my point across, but I hate that term. High value is so stupid to me. But okay, one quote unquote high value man rather than be in a one-on-one relationship with a regular guy. So I'm not gonna lie, from what I've seen in my own life, this is kind of true. It is kind of true. But again, only when society is this shitty does that happen. So this isn't necessarily something that's normal throughout all societies of human history. Like, it's just when society gets this stratified and this shitty, like, and this uneven, that does happen. Like, we're looking at a society right now in which our government is too big, inflation is rampant, and there's a bunch of other stuff that are downstream from that. Like, so it's a lot of centralized stuff happening. And just think about what a harem is. That's a centralized structure. One dude, a bunch of women gravitating toward one dude. It's that centralized. That is centralized. So let's just look at some facts here. Women are weaker than men, and let's be honest, most men aren't even aware of the greater forces of economics and inflation that our society is dealing with. Like, most men aren't even aware of that. So how do you really think that women are going to be aware of that stuff? Even the smartest women, most of them, aren't aware and don't care about that stuff. Like, so if most men don't take this into account in their day-to-day activities, that's why there's going to be harems. Because the guys that do understand this stuff and act on it, they're going to get harems. We're humans. In terms of Homo sapien primates, the most quote-unquote valuable, like, I hate these terms, but we're just going to basic biology because, it just helps me get my point across. Like, I'd love to use, like, the brain to, like, not go this primal, but, like, our society just is at that point where, like, we're going primal. So in a society like this, like, the smartest dudes, because we're Homo sapiens, the most attractive feature is your brain over the long term. Like, and what you can do with it. It's not just having a big brain, but, like, what you have done with it. Like, what you have done given, like, your brain. Because, like, as this type of ape, and, like, given how, like, big our brain is, and I'll have that in later videos, just the stats on that. But it's not the strongest males, it's the smartest males, like, and what they do with it. So if, that means making money in some senses, but that's not always the case. Sometimes, like, it could be, like, you getting strong, because it takes intelligence. Like I said this in the Discord, it takes a certain amount of intelligence to get strong in this society, because it's not natural. We live sedentary lifestyles, most of us. So if, like, you get jacked, like, huge, that means you're smart to a certain extent, because you've like, used your brain and overcame the average lifestyle to get strength, like, physically, muscles, and strong. If you get rich, the average person in this society is making under 30K, men and women. And funny thing is, women actually happen to wield more wealth than men do. So, like, if you, as a man, use your brain to get a bunch of money, you've proven the worth of, like, your brain. So you're gonna get access to harems, essentially. Dude, my hopefully my thing doesn't die here, but because it's gotten red. But yeah, that's just is what it, I mean. If you get a huge social circle in this state, like, that is not like, most people live in isolation essentially right now. Even before COVID, this was a thing, and especially after COVID, it's a thing. So if you get a huge social circle, you've demonstrated your brain, like, you proved it in the world, and then you're gonna get access to harems. Like, that's because average is so like most people are so it's hard to put, like, most people are basically at that median or whatever. Like, so the mode is the median if you want to get to math. So the mode is the median. So if you're above that, there's not many people. Like, the mode means the most points at that, like, at that area, and the median is the average. So the mode and the median are similar. If you're above that, you get access to most women, because they all want above that median. Like, and most men are at that median. Like, so I'm trying to use mathematics to explain it. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So yeah, in a society like this, where the mode is the median, that's gonna happen. So be aware of economics and inflation and stuff like that. I would definitely try to understand that landscape, and, like, you'll easily get your harem if you really want it. If you really want your harem of, like a lot of times, like, these are not the highest quality women, or whatever you want to call it. So if you want that, it's up to you. So yeah, and we're in a society where greater than 30% of men have checked out, no matter where they are. So even if, like, you have some people, dudes in the median checked out, dudes under the median checked out, even some dudes above the median checked out. And that's honestly why, like, this kind of MGTOW blackpill stuff is getting huge, because, like, so many dudes have checked out. So just look at the numbers in that sense. If if like greater than 30% of men have checked out of various marketplaces, just given basic numbers, you're gonna have harems going on, like, because there's less men to choose from, and women aren't gonna check out. Like, women can't check out of society, really, like a man can, because like they don't, like, they're not as strong as a man, like, to take on the world. So less women, like, there are gonna be outliers, and I know some women that have checked out, but the majority of people checking out is gonna be men, and women are going to be dealing with the men that didn't check out. So you have a lot more women, like, than men in that scenario. So, you know, harems, man, like, so that those are some of the reasons for ham. So that was point 3. Hopefully, yeah, I didn't lose you guys on that, because that took a while to explain, and I didn't explain it that well, but it is what it is. Okay, and I went off script a lot. But there's a lot more that could be said on that topic, but it is what it is. Okay, so point 4. Throughout history, 80% of women reproduce with 40% of men. So that's like a black pill thing that you hear a lot when you go on these, like, you sift through these forums and whatnot. I honestly I don't know if those numbers are that bad. If, like, the real numbers are that bad. I don't know if it's really 80% and 40%. Maybe it is. But if you think about it, think about how many men have died in conflicts, have died by just being, like, stupid, and have died by suicide before they reproduced. You have millions of, like, literally millions of young men died in the world wars of just the last century, like, just 100 years ago. Millions of men died in that conflict, in those conflicts. And millions more men died during the reign of authoritarian regimes throughout history. Think of how many dudes Genghis Khan killed. Like, just think about shit like that. Yeah, Alexander the Great, how many guys did that guy kill? Like, young men that never reproduced. How many of them got killed in those conflicts? Like, just think about that stuff. And even in my own personal life, I've known some men who committed suicide, but I personally know of 0 women who committed suicide. Like, I know probably, like, somewhere between 5 and 10 men. Like, I didn't, like, that's not something I really keep track of, so I don't know the exact number, but I've known at least a few men to commit suicide, but 0. Like, grand total of 0 women. 0 women I know personally that have committed suicide. 0. Like, just think about how many men were offed themselves before reproducing, and women just simply don't do that. At least they don't do that even close to the amount that, like, men do in terms of die in conflicts and commit suicide. So this 80% of women and 40% of men number, it could be true, but this isn't necessarily because of selection. Like, it's more because of, like, dudes literally died, man. Like, and if they're not there to reproduce, they're not there to reproduce. So that's point 4. Okay, point 5 is government is way too big and powerful. Okay, so this is basically the only black pill concept that I really think that you should take to heart, if that makes sense. Like, take this to heart more so than the other ones, because this is, like, something that we can do something about if you want, and I think this is a reason. This is, like, the most upstream reason of black pill, if that makes sense. A lot of this dating market stuff about women is, like, downstream from, like, the centralization of power. That's something that you should be more concerned with, because all that women stuff, like, women are going to be women. You can't, like, that they just are women. But the government being too big and powerful, that's something that, like, you can actually focus on, understand, perhaps do something about, if that makes sense. Like, you can't do shit about, like, what women are gonna do, man. And you probably don't even want to be 100% honest. Like, the mind of a woman is too convoluted even for herself. Like, that's why a lot of them need guidance by a man, even the smartest ones. So I wouldn't focus on what women are doing, because they don't even know what they're doing half the time. 100% honest. Like, that's just from personal experience. I have seen that happen, and I don't think it gets better as they get older. So it is what it is. But number 5, government way too big and powerful. So, okay, I mean, some of these stuff in this script I'm not gonna say because I kind of already mentioned them. But okay, so yeah, a lot of this women's stuff is downstream from the actions of centralized governments around the world. Like I've said, we've discussed inflation, laws, regulations, and taxations before on this channel, and we'll probably discuss it in the future on this channel. So at the risk of making this video way too long, which it probably already is, I'll just ask you to go to all of that other content, but just understand that the government thing, like the centralized power thing, is probably the best, I guess, in terms of what I listed, black pill concept that you should focus on and take to heart. Yeah, everything else, it's good to know, but like, you can take action on number 5. So okay, I'll end it there. There's a lot to the black pill, and we'll probably discuss more of it later. But like, yeah, there's a lot to black pill, just like there's a lot to like red pill, there's a lot to blue pill, there's a lot to MGTOW, there's a lot to all of these ideologies. So yeah, I'll discuss it more. Technically, I've already discussed several black pill topics, mainly having to do with governments, but like being a MGTOW, you kind of understand the gamut of most of these things. Like, you understand blue pill, you understand red pill, you understand a lot of black pill, you kind of understand a lot of different things, and that's why I kind of like the MGTOW sphere here. I'm most comfortable in the MGTOW sphere because we understand a lot of this stuff. So the thing about black pill that I don't really like as much, but I understand it, is that it leads many to despair and hopelessness. Like I said, it doesn't have to, because black pill is just an assortment of facts, but it ends up leading many to like a despair and a hopelessness that they may not get out of. So I don't think anyone should take it that far, especially the young people. Most black pillars are actually really young dudes. Like, I'm 24. A lot of black pillars are younger than me. Like, and that's crazy. But it makes sense. And we're gonna see more as inflation keeps happening, and inflation will keep happening, so that's unfortunate. I personally think there's way too much available abundance, though, to go black-pilled, because the cause of this we can talk about in other videos, but I think there's too much available abundance out here. Unfortunately, you're competing with like a bunch of older people who understand how like the system works and like printed money and all that shit, but that's a different story. So obviously young people have to deal with the fact that their futures are being inflated and taxed away from them. But yeah, again, we'll save that information for later videos, because this video is taking days. But yeah, that is it, guys. Definitely subscribe. I have watch time down, I have views down. I just need them subscribers, and if we get them subscribers, like, we can start. I think you have to get up to 1,000 to start getting paid by YouTube, and once we get paid, dang, we're gonna be seeing a lot of cool stuff. So like, yeah, let's get to that 1,000, guys. First, let's just get to that 100. Right now, my goal is getting to that 100, getting to that 80, then getting to that 100. So yeah, definitely help me out with that if you guys like the shit. If y'all like the scripts, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Do your thing, guys. Understand this landscape. That's what I'm telling you. Understand this landscape, and you'll be surprised how much things start making sense, and how much you can even act on that. And you could even like get those harems if you really want them. And if you really want them, I would suggest going out of country. Because in America, like, you might not even be happy with those harems. So there we go. Peace out, guys.